I've always considered myself to be an anxious person. I gravitate towards the what ifs and the worst case scenario. The first time I remember being paralyzed by anxiety and really feeling the weight of it, I was a freshman in college. I had gone from a very small world, less than 400 kids in my high school, to a massive state university. And I was lonely, I was isolated, I didn't have my community, and my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I just kept going back to the worst case possible. She's gonna die. I'm gonna be without my mom. I'm so young, she's so young. And it consumed me, not understanding why God would allow that to happen to my life. Anxiety can be very isolating, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you isolated. He wants you away from community. So as a young college student, I turned to the very typical coping mechanisms, drinking, partying. And then I also avoided. I ran literally as far away as I could. I dropped out of school and I went to India for 3 months. I wasn't even a believer at this point. I thought I was, but I went on this 3-month mission trip to India because I just wanted to run away. When I finally learned that I have no control, that's when I realized all I can do is trust in God. And that moment was in our journey as foster parents. And when a social worker calls you and says, can you take this child? And you say yes, and then it doesn't work out, the child comes to you or goes somewhere else or anything like that, you have absolutely no control over the situation. Jesus talks about how, look at the flowers in the field and how he has adorned them. Look at the birds and how he feeds them and they don't have to worry about where their food is coming from. Don't you know that your Father in heaven cares more about you? Community has allowed us to be vulnerable and to reach out and say, I'm feeling really anxious about this situation. Can you pray for me? Can you encourage me? Can you remind me of the truth of the word? Because I'm believing lies right now. So it's easy to say, yes, I believe that God is good. Of course I believe he's good. It's harder to say, yes, I believe that God is good to me. He has proven over and over to me that even if the circumstances aren't ideal, sometimes the healing never comes. Sometimes the diagnosis is terminal. And in those seasons, we have to remember that God is good to me.